So I'm very pleased to be here on My Magical Thing with John Beckett, Druid, member of the Covenant of Unitarian Pagans, speaker, teacher, ceremonialist, and author. John, it's lovely to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, my friend, it's a pleasure. John, please may we see your magical thing?
We can. I was playing with my camera and I can't get it to focus on something this small, but this is my Cernunnos pendant.
Yes,
And
that's actually pretty clear, particularly against the sort of the shirt that you're wearing. That's yep,
good,
got it,
good,
got
good,
it.
good.
Perfect.
So this is my magical thing, and it comes with a story, or rather with probably more stories than you have time for. Um, This started over 20 years ago. Um, a local pagan friend was going to England. And at the time, I had never been. And she said, "Can I bring you something back?" And I gave her a $20 bill and said, "Yeah, bring me a t-shirt." And I expected her to bring back a shirt from Stonehenge or the British Museum or something touristly like that. And instead, she comes back with this. And she says, "I couldn't find a shirt that just seemed right for you, but this just spoke to me and said, this, John needs this." And she said, "I think it's the Horned God." Well, we were sort of a Wiccanish group at the time, but we both knew that the idea, where there had been many horned gods throughout history and prehistory, the idea of the horned god is pretty much a 20th century thing. So we figured there might be some more history behind it. And we were digging and digging. And of course, this was before the days of Google image search. After a couple of weeks, we found out that this is um, an image from the Gundestrup Cauldron. And if any of you viewers are unaware, the Gundestrup Cauldron is a silver bowl. It's about 2,000 years old. It was found in a bog in Denmark. It's filled with panels of artwork illustrating Celtic mythology, including this. And modern practitioners are convinced that this is Cernunnos. Now, we can't be 100% sure because Cernunnos has no ancient lore. His name is recorded only once on the Pillar of the Boatman, which is a Roman Gaulish sculpture just outside of Paris. But um, we're pretty sure this is Cernunnos. And that began a journey of, okay, if this is Cernunnos and this spoke to Summer when she was looking for stuff to me, maybe I need to start doing some digging here. And I started um, a devotional practice with prayers and offerings and meditation, and a relationship developed there. Well, let's fast forward to 2013, and we decided to do a public devotional ritual to Cernunnos. And we had a procession, and we had a bonfire, and we had drumming, and we said our invocations and made offerings, and then people started dancing and chanting and singing and just having a wonderful primal experience. And we did that in our local group. And then we did it for the Dallas Fort Worth Pagan Pride Day that year. And then we did it for the 2013 OBOD East Coast Gathering. Now, I'm a member of the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. Wonderful organization. I recommend them all the time. Um, my practice is, let's just say, it's more intense than your average Obod Druid. And that's neither good nor bad. It just is. But we put this ritual together, and we were at a camp in the woods in the mountains of Pennsylvania. And I gave the pre-ritual briefing where I said, we we want to we want you to experience Cernunnos. We're not going to tell you what to believe about that experience. You get to choose what you believe about it, but experience first and believe later. Well, it was right at dusk, And I led a procession into the woods, and following me was our brilliant fire tender who had made a torch, and not a tiki torch. He made something that looked like it was out of a gothic horror movie. And we went into the woods, and we had only gone a short way when the drums started. We had, I forget, 6 or 8 really good drummers deep in the woods, and they were calling us in. And it was, oh, I don't know, 4 or 5 minute walk into the woods. We made the turn. Here's the circle. Here's the camp torches. The drums are just getting louder and louder as we get closer and closer. And we move in and fill the circle. And then we start again with our invocations and our offerings. And I know you've had Dave the Bard on your channel before. Dave was there for this one, and Dave gets asked to provide music for rituals all the time. And so we said, Dave, for this one, we're going to let somebody else do the music. We'd like you to be one of our offering bearers. And so Dave was one of the ones who made the communal offerings to Cernunnos. And Cynthia Talbot, who is my good friend, fellow Denton pagan leader, she press ganged a choir, and they sang Dave's antlered crown and standing stone as part of the ritual. And then the drums started. And then we started dancing, and it is the closest thing I've ever experienced to what I think our ancient ancestors must have done. Um, Out in the woods, around a fire, drums going, invocations to Cernunnos, and yeah, he was there. And some of the people didn't quite know how to take that ritual. Really wasn't something they were prepared for. But I still run into people who talk about that ritual, and it was just amazing. So let's let's move forward another 3 years, 2016, and we're planning a trip to England and Scotland. And we find out that the Gundestrup Cauldron is going to be on loan to the British Museum. Wonderful, got to see it. Check the dates, and we'd already booked airline tickets. The dates don't work. And then we saw that it was going to be at the National Museum of Scotland in Edinburgh when we were there. And so we planned our Scotland tour around seeing the Gundestrup Cauldron, and we booked tickets for midweek, early in the morning, so it wouldn't be so crowded. Um, this was part of the Celts exhibit, and if you go onto my blog, go back to 2016, I've got a write up about my experiences. They're just a wonderful, wonderful exhibit, and
I
this was
saw the show. I saw the show actually, John. Yeah,
excellent.
I saw the show.
It was awesome. And the at least in Edinburgh, the Gundestrup Cauldron was literally the centerpiece of the exhibit. You go in, you view some of the exhibits, and there in the very back of the room, here it is.
Mm.
And it was bigger than I thought it would be. And I knew there were panels on the outside, and I knew there were panels on the inside. What either I didn't know or I had forgotten was that there's a panel on the bottom of the cauldron, and it's patching a hole. This wasn't something some rich person commissioned to sit on their shelf. This was a working vessel that people used. And I can just imagine, you know, being at some gathering and drinking mead or whiskey or even water out of this bowl. And of course, they had it sealed up as they should. But you want to talk about a magical thing? That's a magical thing.
John,
So
that's absolutely the case. Can we have another look at Cernunnos,
yes,
please?
we can. And then I have and if you
Yeah.
go yeah, again, just Google Cernunnos Gundestrup Cauldron, you can find much better pictures of that. So one more story that comes out of
Wait.
this. Um, there Since the early 2000s, there have been a series of devotional anthologies dedicated to various gods and goddesses. I've got one for the Morrigan and the Dagda and for Hecate, and There may be some others there. I'm not remembering it now, but there was never one for Cernunnos. And then Jason Mankey, who is a pagan writer, good friend, fellow Cernunnos devotee, we got to talking. We said, Cernunnos needs his own book. And so we put out a call and we got more submissions than we could possibly use. And we started sifting through them. And then the pandemic hit. And then we had delays, some other delays. But in 2023, the book of Cernunnos was finally available. And it is a collection of experiences like the ones I'm talking about now, and rituals and poetry, and Cernunnos may not have had any lore in ancient times, but he certainly has it now. And all of that goes back to this that started it all. And would it have happened anyway? Maybe, probably. But this is how it happened. It all started with this.
John Beckett, that's fantastic. Thank you for introducing us to the great horned god in the form of Cernunnos from the Gundestrup Cauldron. That's really, really appreciated, my friend. Thank you so much.
Always enjoy talking about this stuff, and especially talking about Cernunnos.
Thanks, then, John. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Thank you.